so much for joining the session this morning. So we're going to do a session around coaching skills masterclass. And the idea of coaching is very much that it will help empower you as an individual, but also it will empower you in your job roles as a Salesforce professional. LinkedIn recognise like the top in-demand skills, and emotional intelligence and skills to collaborate are very much skills that are in demand by companies and employers. So having an experience and understanding of coaching on your CV is something to be proud of, and something that you should add onto any CV. So even the things that we're talking about today and communicating your understanding of these things in an interview will stand you head and shoulders above somebody else if somebody else has just got an admin cert and doesn't have these types of skills and understanding. So they're really powerful skill sets to have. I'm going to be talking about our coaching skills program that we're running. So we've been running a coaching program for anybody on our technical skill courses. So we run the admin, marketing cloud and consultancy skill courses, and we include coaching as part of that arrangement. And we decided to branch this out as a separate course in its own right, because if somebody is choosing to upskill on their own using Trailhead or some of the other routes, we still feel these skills are really empowering and useful to you to have in your toolkit if you're going to excel as a Salesforce professional. And it feels like the right time to launch it, in that my background is coaching. I qualified in NLP back in 2006 and ran a coaching business, and we coached over 10,000 young people, and I had a team of coaches. So coaching is very much in my DNA and really transformed my life when I was 25, and it's the reason why I believe in it so strongly. And I did the NLP course, but I also did 2 coaching courses with City University in London. So we embedded coaching as part of the business that I was running, that I ran for 6 years, and that's where I started using Salesforce, actually running that business and all the people we were supporting. And that's led me full circle to empowering mums to upskill in Salesforce skills, but also coaching has been a key ingredient to that. So it feels like a natural journey that I'm really kind of bringing those coaching skills back into what we're doing and helping empowering people right now. So there's going to be loads of takeaway stuff in this session today that you're going to get value from, but if you choose to join me on the course, we're signing people up until the end of this week, then absolutely lovely. I'd love to teach you more. I love teaching and training. I love helping you be stronger at what you do, and today I'd love to hear what your takeaways at the end of the session. I hope you get something valuable from the session today. What we're going to be focusing on is some coaching tools and techniques that can help you have a more positive mindset, but also your customers have a more positive mindset, and how you can embed that positivity in the way that you communicate and engage with people that you're wanting to adopt Salesforce. So as I say, there's always 2 sort of perspectives when we go through this course. One is around yourself, but the other is about how then that influence and impacts on other people around you in your career and in your home life as well. So we're going to be looking at things around maintaining positivity and confidence, and also gaining focus and clarity. So I've introduced myself a little bit, but just as a sort of a bit more of a background, I suppose, is that I'm a golden hoodie winner, and there's a few of us that have golden hoodies in the Salesforce sector. It's a rare commodity, which I'm proud of, but I got that for helping other people blaze their trail in the Salesforce ecosystem when I launched Supermums in 2016. I started using Salesforce back in 2010, so 10 years of Salesforce experience, and I really use a system for the business I was running. The coaching business was running at that time. So I spent 2 years almost, even though I was the CEO of the company, I was technically the in-house administrator as well for Salesforce, and absolutely loved how it could power my non-profit. It took it from 100k to 1.4 million in a year, and I would wholeheartedly say that's because of the data intelligence and capacity that Salesforce allowed me to have. It allowed me to produce information I needed in order to win more deals. So it was kind of instrumental in my success, and it's why I decided to launch a consultancy helping other non-profits benefit from Salesforce. But also I changed my career into this because I wanted a career that was more resilient to market conditions, because unfortunately my last business was dependent on government funding and grant funding, and the market conditions changed back in 2010, and a lot of charities didn't survive. I managed to hand mine over to somebody else to sort of merge it with another organisation, but I decided that I needed a more resilient career and something that would be more flexible for me as well, because I wanted to move down by the sea. So that's how I ended up retraining in Salesforce. And I always had the ambition to help people upskill and develop, but I launched Supermums a few years after the consultancy, because then we wanted to provide work experience to mothers who were upskilling. We've got dads on the program as well, who come through the course. So I've kind of been on this journey of being a Salesforce consultant. I've had various roles through running a consultancy, from being the admin, from being the BA, to the project manager, to being the salesperson, marketing person, and now sort of focusing on marketing and training predominantly. So I've really kind of worn several hats as the owner of a consultancy, and very much found that all the skills, including the NLP skills, I find really important in my role if I'm dealing with customers, consulting with customers, but also the other qualifications that I very much invested in to feel like I was a professional, and knowing what I was doing was the business analysis, project management, and change management skills. And they're things that we now deliver on the consultancy skills program that I run. So I bring all of this with the best of intentions, that I've learned a lot in my career, and feel that I like imparting that knowledge to other people, so they don't necessarily have to go through some of the same paths that I've experienced and gone, oh, I wish I knew that before. So it's really helpful in hand. So Super, if you haven't heard about it already, if everybody could just make sure they're on mute, actually, that'd be great. I think there's somebody who's perhaps not on mute. With Supermums, as I say, we do run the Admin, Marketing Cloud and Consultancy Skills Programme. If any of you are interested in those, then obviously you can check those courses out. If you're already experienced in Salesforce with over 2 years experience, you might want to volunteer with Supermums as well. So we are always looking for mentors and trainers. And if you become a mentor or trainer for Supermums, you also get access to our coaching programme. So it's another great way to give back, but also upskill at the same time. And then we also have a range of amazing companies that endorse us and sponsor us, and hire from us as well through our recruitment arm. So we're really, really, really blessed to be in the space we're in. We're a talent alliance partner with Salesforce. We actively work with them on marketing and helping people get back into work. So loads to offer. It's an amazing community of people. And hopefully you're part of the community already, or if you'd like to get involved, then do find us on Facebook and get involved in one of our courses. So I'm going to get onto the content now after the intros. So let's talk about maintaining positivity. So I'm just going to put life into context initially, and this is where emotional intelligence plays a part, because emotional intelligence, what does that mean? It means understanding where you are on the emotional journey, and it's about observing other people and where they are and how and what they're experiencing and why. And if you're more aware of where you are in emotional context, it helps you to make more sense of it, and to step back a little bit and look at things in black and white. And I think that was the biggest realization for me when I did the change management course. It was like, oh, okay, this is okay to feel like this, because this is normal. And it wasn't just me feeling silly or like irrational or anything like that. It's about, okay, I get it, this is normal to go through this emotional journey, but to be clear on where you are in that emotional journey and where you need to get to, and that there's a journey that you'll go on to get there, is really powerful, I think. And so I'm going to share sort of 4 emotional theories with you, if you like. And we say them theories, but they've been proven time and time again that they do exist, that the theories have come to life because of study, intensive study research that's happened. So one, I recognize these myself in my emotional state, but also I will communicate these emotional journeys to my peers, my colleagues, to our students, and also the clients that I work with where relevant, because it's important that they don't perhaps know this and understand it either. So it's great to kind of just put things sometimes in context with people and say, look, you're going to go through this journey. It's okay. Like, you know, just being aware of this emotional journey we're going to be on helps us master it and overcome any sort of negative downside. And I think the other kind of key element here is it's okay not to be positive all the time, right? You know, we're talking about a positive mindset, but let's be clear, we're not going to walk around in positive sort of rosy tinted glasses 100% of the time. You know, it's unrealistic, but that's why it's important to know where you are in that cycle and how to move out of it. So here are 4 different sort of emotional cycles that you might find yourself in. The first is the team development Tuckman model. And, you know, where might you be working as a team? Well, you might be working at home with your partner as part of a team. You might be starting a new job and joining a new team. You might be setting up a team to work on a new project, a CRM project, for example. So in each of those situations, you are going to go through the Tuckman model cycle. Now, the way that this cycle works is that you will start out in a forming state, and that's where you are setting the roles and responsibilities, and it's really good to have that all written down clearly, even with your partner if you can, but you know, write it down, have it in that black and white and say, right, you know, this is what we're all going to do, and we're going to set out with this in mind, make it clear to everybody. So in our change management course, we do go into how to create a team working structure, which is to say one of those things is writing the roles and responsibilities down so everybody's clearer, but there's other things that you need to do if you're managing a team. But forming is about setting out the expectations in the best way possible. Now, what will happen is you'll all move forward with that sort of initial precedence in mind, and what you'll go through is a cycle of storming and norming. And norming is the sweet spot of everybody's kind of, yeah, this feels right, but then what will inevitably happen is perhaps things won't quite fit, or people will question things, or people, you know, somebody might not pull their weight, and that's where you go into storming cycle. So certain things can upset that balance against the original expectations, so you end up in a cycle of storming and norming. And I think what's really important there is that you realize that you are in the storming and norming, and that's okay. And actually, what do you need to do to get you back to norming and where you want to be performing? So that's where you need to have those conversations to revisit the initial roles and responsibilities, redefine, okay, well, how do we work as a team? Have those sort of mature, sensible conversations, rather than feeling like, oh, this isn't working out, you know, I'm going to have to leave, or this isn't working out, you know, I'm going to have to complain. Like if you're working with a client, it's really good to, you know, say to a client, if you're forming a new project team, you know, we're going to put together this team, we're going to work like this initially, but honestly, if for some reason this pattern of how we plan to work as a team isn't working, just communicate with me, let's just shift it, let's change it, you know, and just be open by the fact that it might not work straight off, and that it's okay for them to come back to you and say, you know what, because if you open that door, it allows them to, you know, to come forward. Whereas if you don't suggest it, they might sort of sit there grumbling because something's not done right, and then you might find out on the evaluation form later on that project management wasn't as good as they thought it would be, or something, because honestly they didn't have the opportunity, or they didn't feel appropriate to kind of open, you know, and reevaluate how the team was working. So you can explain the Tuckman model to anybody you're working with, as I say, even your partner at home, your project team, if you're working in a new team at work, you can really kind of just go through and sort of understand where you are in this cycle. So it's just being clear that it might not work smoothly. You might need to revisit the original plan. And if you then start working towards norming, where you want to get to is performing, and that's where everybody's kind of settled into those roles, but what they're doing is then continuing to build and get better, and that you get into continual improvement cycle, because everybody's happy with the normal way of working, but they're then looking to strive to improve it. So I think that's the first kind of realization. The second one is the learning cycle, and it's otherwise known as the learning dip. So whenever you're learning something new, like even on this presentation today, you might start off going, oh, I think I know this, and then you might go into a bit of a door saying, oh, I don't think I did know this as well, or I don't know if I can, you might lose your confidence a little bit because you don't know what you don't know. But then what you will do is get to the point where you're then applying that knowledge, practicing it to the point that you're reaching a point of where you're satisfied with your learning and you're happy. So it can sort of, you can go through this real learning cycle of, sort of being excited about learning something new, then going, oh my gosh, can I do this? To then going, okay, I'm putting it into practice. Yes, I'm going to get there. And honestly, it's about practice with everything. Like, you're not going to master a new skill straight away. It is really just about keep working at it to the point that you're sort of going to get there. So again, explain, understand this yourself and know where you are on your learning dip. But also, if you're working with clients or teaching anybody, explain to them right from the start, I'm going to teach you this thing today. I'm going to train you on Salesforce. It's likely that you're going to go through this learning dip. But that's okay, that's normal. So put it up front with them, because then they understand it and they're not sat there halfway through worrying that they don't get it or feeling scared. Because if you land it straight in front of them and they know that they're going to go through this emotional dip, it will help them feel better because they know where they are. So just reassure them that it's okay and it's normal. The third one is the Kübler-Ross grief cycle. So this is quite often referred to if you're grieving somebody who's passed away, but also the grief cycle applies in many other areas. So it might be something you've gone through personally with COVID. I know I've been through this cycle 2 or 3 times. With the COVID lockdown, you kind of go through this point of denial and then anger and then bargaining, depression and acceptance, because every time something shifts, you're losing your sense of normality in some way, or potentially losing, something that you had before. And so people have very much gone through this cycle with COVID. If you're lost a job or being made redundant, absolutely, you're going to go through this emotional state too. If you're working on a Salesforce project, this will arise if you've got people who are scared of losing their normal way of working and they feel anxious, angry, upset about moving to a new system that they don't want to move to. So you absolutely might see this on your Salesforce projects, and it's really important to be aware of this and to know how to overcome it. So all the tips I'm going to give you today are things that you can use to help people overcome this. Depending on their level of loss or their level of thing, they might need a level of counselling. Counselling is quite often a resource that might be needed here, which is in a different methodology to coaching. So you can only do what you can do. You're not going to lift everybody out of these cycles. And, it's not your role as a Salesforce professional necessary to move, to sort of get everybody to the point of acceptance, but you can absolutely do what you feel that you can do with the level of emotional intelligence that you have and the tools that you have in your toolbox to move people through. If you're aware of it and you know how to potentially move through it, you're doing the best that you possibly can, which is different to not having any tools or any awareness of it. So it's very relevant to Salesforce projects. It's very relevant to your life potentially as well. And then the final one is mindset. So you might also put this straight up front whenever you're doing a Salesforce project with people, and people are learning a new system. You might say, look, we're here today. We're going to be learning a new Salesforce project and learning, a new way of working. I want you all to bring your growth mindset with you today, because you're going to be learning new stuff. I want you to be open to that. And that's in contrast to having a fixed mindset. And a fixed mindset is, feeling already that you can't do something, because so everybody in that room, as I do, and I'm sure all of you do, you'll have the negative voice in your head saying, oh, I'm not going to get this, or I can't do this. Like, how many people have that? It's very normal to have this little negative voice in your head to say, oh, I can't do it. So trump them, bring it up, talk about it, make people aware of that little negative voice going on, and they're perhaps sat in a fixed mindset, and say to them, you might be sat here in this fixed mindset right now going, I'm feeling like I'm not going to get this, or I'm frustrated, or I don't like to be challenged by a new system. What I want you to do is come out of that, ignore those little negative voices, and get yourself into a growth mindset where you are going to be learning the #1 CRM product. You're going to be learning new in-demand skills. You're going to be, learning new technology that will be amazing for your business. Let's get you into that growth mindset. So use all that positive reasons about why they are going to enjoy learning this. And I say, call it out, make it really visible to them straight away about what they're going to get from this great opportunity to learn more about Salesforce. And that's the same for you, right? So don't think, you don't, be aware of your own fixed mindset, and focus on being, in that growth mindset stage. Check out, what is this voice saying to me? What am I, what's this little gremlin saying on my shoulder that is stopping me doing it? Is that really true? And how do I get myself into that growth mindset to challenge myself and to move forward and to learn things? So there's going to be more than that, and we do teach more on our program, but that's just to be aware of where you are and also to identify where other people are. So let's talk about how you can start to move people through these mindsets. I'm just going to So let's talk about how can you move people through. So the first thing is positive affirmations. So you can absolutely do this with yourself, and also you can do it with your clients and your team as well. So with positive affirmations, surround yourself and say 3 times a day something to change your mindset. So I have on my desk this little thing, right? Make it happen. So that's one. I've got different ones. I've got one on my dressing table. I've got screensavers on my phone now. We've got our Supermum screensavers that we did and we give out to people. So have positive affirmations around you, and keep reverting back to them to say, right, what am I going to change? What do I want to feel? What do I need to motivate myself? And similarly, you can use positive affirmation statements in how you communicate with clients. You can include them in your slide decks. Get people pumped up. Like, we're going to make this happen. We're going to achieve your goals, X, Y, Z. It feels, I've probably got people maybe from the US on these calls too, or listening to them, but it feels quite American to be really pumped up and like, yeah, we're going to achieve this today. But honestly, like, you can embed it from a, more traditional UK point of view, but, let's make this happen. Let's achieve these goals. You've got this, you can learn it, all of those things, embed that in a way that feels comfortable to you and comes across authentically with your clients. Of course, there's loads of positive affirmations you can have, but to be, find them and use them in your decks and use them with yourself. The second is positive anchors. So this is maybe more for yourself. It might be a bit tricky to do with a Salesforce customer, so to speak. But if you are nervous, anxious, feeling a little bit worried about going into an interview or facilitating a workshop. Certainly when I came back from being off, like on maternity leave for a year, and I hadn't gone out and facilitated any workshops, it felt like I was doing it for the first time. When you're working in the Salesforce profession, you're quite often facilitating workshops with quite senior professionals who are all looking up to you for the answers and to really bring all of their team on board. There's quite a lot of responsibility on our shoulders to kind of make this whole CRM project a success. And so there's nothing, it kind of is a little bit quaking in your boots if you're not feeling, you're not used to doing it every day and you're a little bit nervous. So I've always found positive anchors really useful, and I learned about it back in 2006 when I did my NLP course. But it's revisiting, closing your eyes and revisiting positive memories that you've got, where you were laughing, where you felt strong, where you felt really confident, and really immersing yourself, in those feelings and those memories, and just having one memory or two memories that really are really powerful ones that make you feel really good. And if you've got those and you really anchor them and you just, as I say, sit in them for like 4 or 5 minutes and really kind of bring it to life. If you're at that point where you're going to go into a workshop or you're going to go into an interview, just rethink about that moment. Bring that positive anchor straight back into your thoughts and minds and sit there and bring those emotions back to you. Because as a Salesforce professional, you need to walk in there strong and confident. If you show nerves, people might be worried about, why is she nervous? You know, does she not know what she's doing? You know, is there, you know, what's the problem? So, you know, unfortunately, you have to be quite, to facilitate a workshop and to hold that power and to people to listen to you and for you to get their trust. You know, use positive anchors to help you stabilize your emotional state. You know, bring it to the forefront. Again, you know, if you've got any stress or anxiety or anything's happening at work, positive anchors can really help you. And similarly, wear positive items of clothing or jewelry on things that, you know, have positive memories for you. Like literally just dose yourself up in everything if you think you're going to have those moments. The third area is around positive communication. So this aligns with positive affirmations. It's really a nice follow-on. We did a whole coaching session. I mean, we go into much more of these in more detail on the coaching course, but we did a whole session on power words and body language and energetic words, and how to embed those in your communication, how to embed them in your CV, how to embed them in your interview. You know, how do you align with somebody else? And something else to be aware of there is, what is that person's preferred sort of listening style or learning style, because you need to mirror them in terms of body language. You need to communicate with them in a way that they find useful and positive. So how do you align on that front? Because you might think you're communicating really positively because it aligns with you, but maybe not for them. So there's quite a lot in that, too much for us to get in today, but it's something to be aware of. Are you communicating in the most positive way? You can look up Google Power Words and energetic words. They're the things that I would say the simplest takeaway from today, but just make sure that you're kind of using really positive communication. And then the fourth area is around positive relationships. So for you personally in your life, make sure that you're around people that align with you. And I think that was the biggest thing that I found. You know, I started out as a Salesforce professional. I had a young kid. My mum was you know, quite ill, so I didn't get the chance to go out to user groups and things. I didn't have that level of freedom at the point of you know, getting into my Salesforce career. And I think for me, it was about finding a tribe of other mums who were into Salesforce like me, and I've grown a community around me. So I've really built my own tribe in some ways. But there are lots of tribes out there in the Salesforce ecosystem, you know, whether it's through the user groups, whether it's different sort of specialist groups on the success community, and there's lots of groups on Facebook and LinkedIn as well. So find your tribe of people. I think it's the biggest thing that Supermums, the trainees, like about us, because we have small cohorts where you can get to know each other better. So, you know, find a community of people so you're not alone. Similarly, if you're working in an office environment, you should never be the sole administrator, because you should always have Salesforce champions around you. If you're working on a Salesforce project, you need to create a team of Salesforce champions in the workplace who are all really excited about Salesforce as much as you and have the responsibility to empower users around them. So never feel like you're alone. You should never need to feel like that in this community. You know, connect with people online or in person, and start to sort of, you know, share traits with those people. That's where mentoring can be really powerful, peer supporting each other, networking. People love writing blogs and sharing that. So one of our Supermums, Supermums community members launched a blog the last day through some of the work they've been doing around raising your profile. So share things you're passionate about and you'll attract an audience. Something that's what I'm doing, and everybody else, you know, takes those steps to kind of talk about things they're interested in, and then people will find you. So, you know, take the lead. If you can't connect into a group, potentially, you know, take your own lead and create a blog or something else. So there are 4 different areas that we can think about. So let's just check timing. So let's look at get clarity and focus. So this is really about creating a plan of action. So we've talked a lot about emotional intelligence, if you like, you know, what does that look like? How can you start to move people through it? But having an action plan is really important in order to make it happen. Hence one of our positive affirmations screensavers here. You know, you can talk about it, be aware of it, but if you don't put a plan together, it may not happen. So let's talk about some of the coaching tools that you can use to make it happen and to create that level of accountability. So the first one I'm going to talk about is the GROW model. And in the context of GROW model, I'm actually going to share another coaching tool, which is really powerful for you and also your clients. So you can help kind of create a clear action plan of where you're going. So the GROW model is a simple structured coaching method to help clients identify goals for their session and commit to taking concrete action. So it's really important you write this down and that you've got it clear somewhere in front of you, and that you can revisit it every day to check how are you doing against this progress. So G stands for goals, and R stands for the reality of your situation right now. So I'm just going to go to the SWOT model, which is the next tool, to help you sort of think through. Oh, sorry, we've got a little bit of, we'll go through it in more detail in a minute. I'll get there. So we've got G for goal, R for reality, O for options, and W for will do. So we're going to go through each of those areas. Now, the benefits of the GROW model is that it can create a clear motivational strategy for you. It can create clear forward action planning. It's a great opportunity for reflection about actually where am I really now, and where do I want to be. It helps you think through your options really clearly for moving forward. And it will help you take that next positive action because you feel like you've appraised your options. So let's talk through each of these areas in more detail. So G is for goal, which is get clear on your goals. Now, you might use this exercise to identify goals on a weekly, quarterly, annual, or a project base. So you can absolutely use this with a client model as well as with yourself or any other situations like with a team. And then you've got your reality, like what is your reality right now? So I'm going to look at the SWOT model to help you look at your goals and your reality. Now with the SWOT, what you're doing is looking at the strengths of your current situation right now. And if you're applying this to a CRM project, what's really good about the SWOT model here is you're allowing different people to think about, well, what do I actually like about my current ways of working without Salesforce? And that particularly allows those people that are potentially very anxious about Salesforce. It allows sort of a certain level for you to empathize with that and to understand about what they like about now, because what you want to do is hopefully mitigate their level of loss so they don't go through this grief cycle. You know, the more you know about what they like about their current working, the more you can hopefully replicate that in a way that feels very familiar for them in Salesforce. So that's a way that it can apply to work. I think if you're looking at this from your own personal perspective, it's about, you know, where are you now? Actually, how happy are you in your current situation? Because in order to shift and make a change, you've got to really understand and appreciate perhaps how unhappy you are, if that is the reality, you know, because you always reach a tipping point in order to sign up to something new or to, you know, start that diet or whatever it is. You've got to reach a certain tipping point of frustration. So by appraising your strengths, it's really going, well, actually, what is strong, what is good about my current position? And so it can just help you identify if you're at that tipping point or not to really make a shift and make a change. So that's the strengths. The next is weaknesses. So what are the weaknesses of your current situation? And this can really help you kind of identify, okay, well, this is what I'm, you know, the weaknesses I'm experiencing, the loss I'm experiencing because I'm not doing X, Y, Z, and I'm not making that shift. It allows you to be really transparent about actually what you're not achieving. Similarly, with your customers or Salesforce projects, those people that maybe are mourning a sense of losing their normal way of working might actually, it allows them to kind of really go, well, actually, okay, maybe it's not so good, this way of working, because of XYZ. It allows it to really open up the weaknesses that the current situation has and the reasons why it's important to change. And that leads us quite nicely onto opportunities. So what are the opportunities presented by the new situation? You know, if I step forward into this new world and I sign up to something, or I start doing something different, or I accept that I'm going to get a new system, a new way of working, what opportunities will that present to you, which will obviously give you a stronger situation? And then the final thing, which again is really strong to look at, is what are the threats of staying in the current situation and not making the change? And when we put this in context of change management, this is very much the metaphor about the burning platform. So you have two routes you can go down with change management. You know, if you want to sort of bring people on a journey of change, you need to either create a picture of vision, like this is the vision of what the future could look like, which is very much the opportunity, or you can talk about the threats and the burning platform with the threats to say, look, if we don't make this shift right now, you know, this could be the risk of it. You know, the company might go under, or, you know, whatever, that, you know, might lose jobs, or we might not have enough money. You know, these are threats of not doing it. So it really is a powerful exercise to kind of just really sit down and reflect on, you know, where are we right now, and to subjectively look at things. And I think it's a really great exercise because it's not always focusing on the positive, right? About the, you know, if you're looking at a project, you know, it's not like Salesforce is going to be wonderful, it's going to do it all like this, and you're not just focusing on the positive. It allows those people who are a little bit more, say, anxious or nervous or not as happy, to feel like they have an opportunity to voice things in a way that, you know, it allows them in an authorized way. So it really can be quite great for just looking at things in context. So that's kind of your goal and reality. So from your reality situation, you can then create your goals. You can then appraise your options to move forward. Say, okay, well, based on, you know, where we are now, what we want to achieve, what are the different options that I can take to move forward, and appraise the different options with that subjectivity. And then you can commit to, what will I do to move forward? So kind of really sort of thinking about, you know, putting in place those actions. And off the back of that, just wrapping up now on this point, is how do you stay accountable to those goals? Well, what we've encouraged people is to write journals, you know, to have your journal. In your journal, write down what your goals are. You know, put down your options, put down where you want to be, and every day reflect back on, how have I done towards those goals? You know, keep it front of mind, keep it focused, and keep coming back to it so you stay on point. Because if you put it in a book and you never open that book again, you know, when you write it on a piece of paper and you lose your piece of paper, you're not going to achieve those goals, are you? Because you haven't really kept it front of mind. So if you're working with a client, keep it front of mind with them. Keep reinforcing, these were your goals, this is where we're going to, this is what we're working towards. You know, keep revisiting those goals with your customers and saying and reinforcing what you're doing towards them, because that generates trust, assurance, faith that you're going to get there, and keeps everybody on the same path with the same idea in mind and the same vision. So it's the same for you, it's the same for your clients, it's the same for anybody else that you deploy this with. And there are some other tools that we use on the coaching program to help you think about your goals and reality. So we've used a values exercise, and we've used a needs assessment exercise, and a wheel of life, like lots of different things that we can do. So we very much delve into all these areas plus loads more on the coaching program. And so this leads me now a little bit to talk about the coaching program. So we're signing people up to the program. We open up coaching sessions from the 7th of August. So we run coaching sessions every fortnight or every 2 weeks, and we have a live coaching session which you can join. It will be recorded and available via our LMS system. And we're wanting people to sign up before the 31st of July to get an initial cohort into the membership. So it's a 12-month membership, and on those fortnightly calls, we'll normally have typically a half-hour session, which is where you will we'll talk through an exercise, and also we'll give you the time to do that exercise for yourself as well. So it's not just about learning and going away and then you may or may not do it. We'll actually also get you to do it live on the session and to reflect back and to report back on any takeaways that you had if you feel that you want to share. But then also we have 15-minute Q&A sort of opportunity as well. So if anybody's got any questions, anything that's come up in their life that they want to talk about, they can do. So lots of opportunity to, benefit from one-to-one, I say one-to-one, but it's a group coaching program, but that opportunity to connect and have conversations about your career and where you are right now, and what you might want to get. So there's loads of ways that it can help you get more confidence and clarity. The outcomes of it is that if you complete the 12-month course, and complete at least 80% of the modules, which we can track in our LMS, we will give you a coaching skills cert. So on your CV, you can say now that you're working towards a coaching skills certification, that you're on this course. That's a great thing to add to your CV. All of the sessions will give you confidence in yourself. Like, I pay for coaching massively. The last coaching program I paid, well, actually I'm on one now, but the one I paid for before Christmas was £9,000. It was a lot of money. I got a personal loan. I paid that off monthly. It was amazing. And I learned so much from it, and really built. So I've invested massively in my coaching. I've spent over £40,000 on my own CPD since I left university. And I've earned that. I earn and spend it on my own personal development. So our program is a bargain, quite frankly, at the price it is, but we want to make it accessible. I run a non-profit. It's a group membership program. So in terms of sterling, it's 360 a year, or you can pay £30 a month. So, but if that helps you land that new job, helps you feel more confident in your role, gets you a new promotion, helps you win new clients, is going to pay dividends back. So, I do strongly believe, like, invest yourself. Like, I've learned so much from the coaching programs I'm on. The one I'm on at the moment is a group of women, and every Monday we have a coaching session, and I always come off that with more bounce and more clarity about where I'm going. So if we can help you, bounce along in your career really in a really positive way, keep giving you tools that you can take into the workplace to really thrive, and just feel completely in control of yourself and your emotions, and that you've got fantastic Salesforce projects coming off the back of it, then that really is what success looks like, I think, for everybody involved. So I'm happy to take any questions that you have about the course. If you want to put them in the chat, then please do, or anything around the topics today. The other thing that you can tap into, which is free, is our podcast. So I interview people. I've been interviewing a whole great series of people. We've got a new podcast release every week, so you can check that out on Mums on Cloud 9. Some of it does have some coaching stuff in there, but very much it's interviewing people in the sector and what they're up to inspire you as well. So I just thought that I'd throw that in there too. But do please let me know if you've got any questions right now. What I'd also love to know is what your key takeaway was from the session today. So please do put that in the chat right now, if you can, and I'd love to see what you're taking away from the session. What was your key takeaway? I'll just stop sharing my screen for a moment. So let's see what you've got. Cool. Yeah, so we've got somebody on our coaching course, admin course at the moment. So absolutely, on our admin course, you've got access to this coaching course. So we've been sending out the links every Friday to trainees, so people can access. Our current trainees on the admin course can certainly access the coaching program already, and I think that's why it's really good added value, because it really helps. It's really important to get Salesforce technical skill sets, but also to benefit from all the softer skills you need, and they really add value to your CV as well. Absolutely. Any other takeaways from the session today? So you love the grow model. Brilliant. The SWOT model, yeah, absolutely. Really good to put in your slide decks with clients. So I definitely use those. That, you know, put it in your, if you're ever facilitating workshops as a Salesforce professional, then use the SWOT in your slide decks and talk it through with customers. Or the other way to use it is to, if you do a pre-questionnaire with customers, you can include those questions in a questionnaire that you send out to people, if you feel like people might be more comfortable talking about those things in a writing them down rather than showing them in a workshop. I think there's pros and cons to that, because I think if you're showing them in a workshop, it allows the opportunity for everybody to talk and feel open, so everybody understands everybody else's emotions and, you know, what they're thinking and feeling. So it does have that power of the open voice, and it's not all your knowledge. If people write it down, obviously you can share that with managers and things as well, because then they're aware of what people are saying and feeling. Because, as I say, if anybody's in that potential grief cycle, you need to really kind of help them move out of it. So it's really important to kind of flag and find out who might be in that space. I've run workshops where I've had some, you know, the reason I did my change management course actually was because I had somebody who was quite negative in a workshop, and I was like, oh, I don't know how to deal with this. I've never experienced this before. And it kept sort of really taking over the workshops and just really bringing it down, like, and just wasn't productive at all, because he just kept bringing back to him, this isn't going to work, you know, what do we do? So really flagging those people that potentially are either negative in workshops or maybe negative when you're not there, like pretty much bringing people down and lowering confidence, is you've got to solve that problem straight away. You've got to know who they are. You've got to not necessarily just solve it all yourself, but kind of be aware of it and know how to potentially solve it in the way that you communicate, but also say with other people too. So yeah, really important. So the SWOT is great. As I say, the grow model, keeping that going. So thank you everyone for all your comments today. Great to have you, Yvonne, on the call. So I'm glad you had a good first introduction. So hopefully we can help you more on your journey, Yvonne, if you're starting out. So that's fantastic. With there. So thank you for joining today. If I would say, I will send out the links to us. If you liked what you heard today on the model, then please do share and tag us on at Supermums Global. We'd love to hear your feedback on everything. And yeah, if we can connect with you and help you in the future, we look forward to it in whatever way. And hopefully you'll sign up to our coaching program that starts in August, and we can share even more top tips with you and some useful insights. So have a really lovely day, everyone. Glad you all made it at 9 o'clock this morning, and we'll speak to you all soon. Take care, everyone. Bye.